Thank you, Scott, and of course, thank you to 597 for having this in this wonderful hall that is no longer probably going to be used for these purposes, which is a shame because I love their breakfasts. Everyone tells me it's good. I don't know. I never get a chance to eat it. I'm too busy talking to all of you. However, typically at this breakfast, which I think, Scott, I think it is either the fourth or fifth labor breakfast, we do talk about the fact that, yes, it isn't going back to school. It isn't just the beginning of fall starting, and don't discount how important those sales are, but it's not just about those Labor Day sales. It is to celebrate the working men and women that have made this country what it is. And I know at times I've talked about the history of the labor movement. Today I was sort of thinking about it, talking to you, and I sat here and I thought about everybody in this room and what you do as a job. Think of how we would function without your part in what you do. I mean, from the minute we wake up, looking at, when the alarm goes off, which takes all this electricity to do, to, taking a shower to get ready to go out, which is all our plumbers and pipe fitters, to the house you live in, putting a roof over your head, all the construction that goes into building that house. Think of how every one of you impacts every little bit of our daily life. And what would we do without that? The problem we're running into now is we seem to think that we can go ahead and do that without having the skilled labor that does that. And that's a scary thought. Do you really want your house built, your roads built, your bridges built by somebody who isn't skilled in their trade? We absolutely don't. I don't want to live in a world without a skilled plumber or skilled electricians. And then we talk about our public labor organizations, which are also so important. I mean, they're the ones policing our prisons. They're the ones that are teaching our children. I had a public education. I dare say most of us did. What would we do without our teachers? What would we do without our public safety personnel? I mean, think about that. I mean, they're out there, the first people to respond when there's something as catastrophic as a World Trade Center bombing, to just a car accident you may have right out here on Butterfield and Church. Who was the first ones to respond and come handle that situation? So really, every one of you, you have to realize what we're doing is celebrating what you do, because it impacts all of us every minute of our day. So I want to give a big thank you for all that you have done for me, supporting me, and let you know that I will continue to fight on your behalf simply because it just makes sense. We need you out there making a good living wage, which is beneficial to our economy. Because if you make a good wage, you're out there spending money on cars and TVs and computers and everything like that that just goes around and comes back into our communities and makes us successful. So it's just economically a good idea to make sure that we're out there supporting you, and you guys are making a good living wage. We've got some challenges coming up. As many of you know, we have got some little bit of results back on a portion of what happens with the pension bills, which I was on the pension conference committee. I was often described as the one dissenting vote that came out of that. And I was one of the people on that committee who was not an attorney, certainly not a constitutional lawyer. To me, it was a simple black and white issue. A group of people collectively bargained, promises were made, they did their part. You don't break a promise. It was that simple. It was a matter of what is right and what is wrong. Now we'll end up back at the table, since fortunately it looks like the courts have also decided that that simple little line that we shall not diminish pensions was pretty easy to understand. And we'll be back negotiating and trying to work something out with that. On the good side of that, because of the delay, we're also now fully funding our pensions every year, so the crisis mode that supposedly was what instigated this keeps lessening as we keep going. So I think the toughest part right now of that whole pension battle is really the not knowing what's going to come out of it. That's a very scary thing, especially if you're close to retirement, to not know what might be there for you. That's the terrifying part. But I also want to assure you that as this comes up again, I will make sure to be an active voice in this. I am still the vice chair of the Labor Committee, so I do have a good idea of what is coming down when it comes to affecting labor. And for that, I also want to say, I need to hear from you, because that gives me a voice to go back there and say, it's not just my voice, it's my constituents. It is thousands of people that are asking for this to be fair. So I do need to hear from you, because my job really is to make sure all of you are able to take care of your members and continue to have viable jobs and to keep all of us safe and comfortable in our homes and in our lives. So for that, I want to say this Labor Day, my big thanks is to all of you who are the labor movement that make sure we're all taken care of. So happy Labor Day, and thank you for attending my breakfast.